Welcome to Luna Today. My name is Steve Sosikinube. I've had a fantastic week. Hope you've had one too. I've learned so many things about things that we need to know about. 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence started on the 25th of this week. And as men, we looked upon to be even better. I've got 3 daughters, and I always wonder, who are they going to marry? Who are they going to be around? What am I going to do around them? Have I been exhibiting gender-based violence towards their mothers or their mother? Depending on where we're going to touch on that. And how is that going to affect them later on in life? So 60 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence has been launched this week, and the theme is Towards Beijing Plus 30. So it's going to be 30 years when this was declared that women need to be protected against gender-based violence. One of our very own was honored this week as well. Big shout out to Barbara Banda. Before we get into all the things that we're talking about, Barbara Banda went to the United States as the second most expensive player in the world, and she really proved herself. And over the weekend, she was voted the most valuable player, and her team, Orlando Pride, won the league. Let's check this out.
Barbara, you got some hardware and you got a medal. Show us the hardware first. What is this? NWSL Championship MVP. How does that feel?
Wow, it feels great, I'm dedicating this award to everybody in Orlando, the management, the team, everybody. They've done a very great job. For me to get this award, it means a lot.
It's a beautiful trophy. I'm sure what means more to you is the medal that's around your neck, the team medal. What does it mean to be champions of the National Women's Soccer League?
Woo. You see, it's gold. It feels great, yeah. I think it's the moment that we've been waiting for, and definitely it was a day for us, and we really worked so hard for it. And like I said earlier on, we've been looking forward for this. We've been determined throughout the season, so I think we deserve it.
What was the final like for you? It looked very physical.
Yeah, definitely it was a very great game. They've given us a good run, but at the end of the day, Orlando Pride is a champion, so yeah.
Walk me through your goal there in the first half. I don't know if you could sense it, but those of us that are watching, as you get the ball, we're kind of to the edge of our seats, then we're standing up. It felt like there was a goal coming. Walk me through the play.
Yeah, I think this is what I do mostly. When I have the ball, I don't hesitate. I know defenders, they are always scared of a striker, so I need to take on the defender so that I can give them that shake. So I got that, and I found out at the back of the net, so it was so great.
We've done a few of these interviews over the last couple of weeks. One of the things you've said over and over again is that Marta is your idol. We saw the reaction from the teammates and the coaches, kind of very happy to bring this title for Marta. What does it mean for you to be a part of the team that got her this NWSL championship?
Well, I think it means a lot because she has been saying about it that she's been in Orlando for quite some time, and she has been waiting for this moment. So I think it's so great for her. Like she has said, we always make her feel like she's still young. So I think it's a great thing for her to lift that trophy. Yeah, she deserves it.
Do you start to now think about next year and maybe a repeat championship and what could be possible?
Yeah, we still want to remain consistent and come back next year with a good spirit and continue with the same spirit as a team.
But first things first, enjoy tonight, enjoy the championship, enjoy the MVP trophy. Congratulations,
Thank
Barbara.
you so much. I appreciate it.
There she is.
Thank you very much to ESPN and Sebastian Salazar as they interviewed Barbara Banda on that. It's nice to see Abantu Besu. In these sort of circles where they're supposed to be the underdogs, but they come out swinging, come out on top. And a lot of things that Barbara Banda has gone through hasn't been nice. People have been talking about her. Social media has been saying a lot of nonsense about her. But this is our person, so a big round of applause to Barbara Banda for me. So today let's talk about divorce in Zambia and gender-based violence as well. Recently something was said which flew me, that just from January up to now, we've had divorce cases of more than 9,000 people have decided to call it a day on their marriages. I've never been a person to hide the fact that I'm divorced as well. Went through a divorce about 2 years ago. It's been hell for both the children, for everybody else. But now we're stepping out of it. We're trying to have conversations. I talk to my ex-wife. Hey, hi, how you doing? We have conversations. We're trying to raise our kids the best way possible. But it's not always the case. When you jump into a marriage, you expect for it to be forever. And even when you're friends, your best friends, you high-five each other, things these days just do not work out. And when you talk about Shipikisha Club has been mentioned so much. And as a man, I would prefer Shipikisha Club. But I've always said I think men need more counseling when it comes to getting into marriages these days, because we absolutely have no idea. All the friends I talk to, like maybe like 7 out of 10 friends that I talk to, have no idea why they're getting divorced as men. But the ladies have an idea. They say, we were tired a long time ago. You just never noticed. And since, hey, I make money too, I bring money to the plate. If I leave you, nothing's going to change. It was pretty different for our grandmothers, because when they leave, one, they had no education. Two, where are they going? Their parents would tell them not to go anywhere. The husband is the one who's providing for everything, whether it's food, whether it's education, whether it's household. So she had nowhere to go. So kushpikisha. Is this true? Welcome to Lady Nomsa. How are you doing?
Well, thank you so much, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Do I talk too much?
Somehow.
I get paid to talk, so it's fine.
Yeah, I see. Like you just talk fast. Yeah. So I want to be like you maybe, because I'm very slow.
You're very slow. It's better that you're slow, that we can get it. So slowly tell us more about you as Lady Nomsa before we get into our topic.
My name is Lady Nomsa. Yeah, but Nomsa Nyati. I'm a mother of 3. I was married for 14 years.
And then you got divorced?
No. My husband passed on. May he so rest in peace.
Well, lucky.
At least I did not get divorced. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm the founder and president of our Rise in Purpose Women Network.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically help women in discovering themselves, and that is purpose, and then become women that are impactful and influential in society. I'm also an entrepreneur. I deal with events, so I'm an events manager, planner, and decorator. I run a company called Nono's Deco and Event Solutions.
So in my preamble, I talked about how maybe women are a little bit too, I don't even know if this is the right thing to say. I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible. Women are a little bit too independent these days, and that's why we're getting all these divorce cases. You seem clearly independent. And it's unfortunate that your husband passed away.
Yeah.
But how did you stay in a marriage as long as you did with all the tools that you had?
It's not a bad thing, because where we are coming from, Steve, you bear witness with me that we lived with parents that totally depended on our fathers.
Yeah.
And so you'll find that in as much as our fathers were working, it was quite difficult for our mothers to be happy, because I feel like from my background, where I was coming from, my guardian was ever frustrated sometimes. She would shout, just that bitterness of soul. And you don't understand because you're a child at that time. But when I grew up, I realized that it's because she had needs that needed to be met. But the husband could not really be, up to the standards of what she wanted. And so reactions would just pop up. Anger would just pop up. So
when you grew older, that's when you realized
that's when I realized.
Marriage is not the easiest thing, is it?
Yeah. Then I got married. I got married to a very comfortable man, very, very enterprising and successful in business. And I was a working wife. I was a working wife, and to me, I would say our marriage was good. There's no perfect marriage out there.
Really?
Yeah, there's no
but
perfect marriage.
They're always perfect on social media, aren't they?
No. In as much as they look perfect, there are challenges, but it's how you deal with the challenges that matter. So those we call them almost perfect, because they've come to a point where they understand each other. They know how to address grievances. And so I look at that as a perfect marriage, in as much as they say there's no perfect marriage.
Yeah, I talked about Shipikisha Club. You talked about your parents and or your guardians, and how they were raising and how they were married. Yeah. I grew up in a family. My mother was a full-time working woman, and my father was a full-time working man. And I saw a lot of good in that, because they seem to be like helping each other.
Yeah.
They seem to like meet in between so that they can all get better.
That's right.
But they reached a point where it didn't work anymore. And my parents separated. They didn't officially divorce and go to court or whatever, but they separated. and they separated until my mother passed away just a few years ago. So when I was growing up and I saw what it had done to us as children, the separation, I grew up and I said, I'll never, ever subject that to my children.
Yeah.
Never. And guess what I did? I subjected it to my children.
Wow.
And so I was trying to figure out what can you teach that to men or to people that have gone through that. Do we need counseling for us to, maybe get rid of some of these scars that we've had as children, so that we do not inflict it in the next relationship that we're jumping into? How important is that for couples these days?
First of all, I want to talk about, marriage is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful thing, but we have a challenge because the way marriage is portrayed, even like on social media and everyone, it puts people at pressure.
Yeah.
These days there's a lot of influence. So it puts people at pressure such that you find them entering into marriage without being prepared. Because marriage is a lifelong thing. And so it needs a person that is fully aware of what they are engaging into.
Yeah.
So when you talk about your parents divorcing and then later on what you feared actually happened to you,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. First of all, children who go through a broken home, they grow up with certain childhood traumas. They grow up with a lifestyle that is not really built on family,
It's okay, you can say it.
Yeah.
I've got thick skin.
Yeah. So they actually grow up broken as well.
Mm-hmm.
In as much as their parents are the ones going through the pains and all, it also actually affects the children. So you find that even you, Steve, you might not just have realized it. Maybe you were getting married somehow with fears.
Yeah.
And you were looking out for problems and different like I would say failures in your wife or challenges. You were actually looking out, in as much as you may or might have not said it, but it was at the back of your mind to say, what if she did it? What if she did that? So you find that even children that go through broken homes, they need first to go through counseling, some sort of counseling, so that they can look at marriage at a different angle, not the one they were exposed to. Look at, families that go through maybe parents that are abusive.
Yeah.
Children will grow up, with a picture of a marriage that is abusive. I thank God that I grew up in a home where my guardians loved each other. You would see the way my uncle, who I called dad, would love my mom, who was my auntie, my mom's younger sister.
Yeah.
Like in the little, they expressed the love. We could see these two love each other. They would bath together, they would be together, eating together. Dad cannot eat if mom is not there.
Yeah.
And I actually went with that into my marriage. I couldn't bath alone. I would always bath with my husband, and my husband, got into the tradition. He would wait for me when I knock off, until I'm home. So we actually bring out the things that we see. What a child grows up seeing, they'll actually leave it.
So we should be very scared as parents, yeah? I mean, about what we're
Exactly,
showing to our children.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, a lot of houses, the GBV cases, obviously, they're pretty high now. And the phone hasn't been exempt. The phone has really contributed to a lot of gender-based violence. Yes. I mean,
A big trouble.
I've had a phone once, and I find someone on my phone. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are they going to find in there?
Yeah.
I mean, these are things that are contributing to a lot of anger, a lot of
Yes.
mistrust,
Yeah.
and these are what our parents never went through.
Yeah.
But there's also something that our parents went through that I think we really need to talk about and find out whether it's changed. The fact that yeah, but go fiad. And there's one time I was doing like a research in a village somewhere for some NGO, and I found that there was a group of Zambian women in that area that still believed that.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, and how have we come from that era where to a point where now men are going to jail for some of these things?
Okay, because there's awareness. We need to create awareness the people maybe in the villages, in these rural areas are not yet enlightened. They still living in the old age where they say, "Vakafye bangu memo nishina bantemu." And we still have such ladies even in the townships.
But
here.
men are so smart. I can't believe we convinced women that when we beat them, that means
That
we love
is
them. A big shout out to our grandparents. They
I'm
were
telling
awesome.
you, they did.
Big shout out.
But that wasn't really good. So, like we need to create more awareness. Like
Yeah.
we need to educate the women. We need to educate the women. I think, and then the change has come in because a lot of women now are enlightened. There's social media. There's actually information out there. There are these, programs that are running against GBV. There's the fast track courts, for gender-based violence. So you find that there's information, but majority of these women in the rural areas have not yet received the information. So we need to create more awareness so that women can know that, it's not the beating that shows love. Because
love
a man
that
who
shows
loves,
love.
yes, it's love that shows love. It's like a man that loves you. I was married for a long time, and I know at times I would piss off my husband, like I'll make him just go, nuts and stuff. But one thing I appreciated is that he never got violent with me. And I would just see his reaction. Maybe he would drive out of the yard and come after an hour when his heart has cooled down. I think that's one thing I really appreciate, that I never had to experience such violence in my marriage. But there are women out there and I deal with them. I'm dealing with women.
Yeah.
So I sometimes even get so surprised to see the man that had beaten the wife. Like when you look at him, he doesn't look
Just a good guy like
violent. He's a
Steve.
good guy. He's got good morals out there. But how did he just hit the wife like that? And then because of the status of the people that are involved, women fear to come out. They can't say, I've been beaten. They can't say, my husband has been abused.
Because on social media, your family is awesome.
Exactly.
Your family is awesome on
It's
social
so
media.
beautiful.
I mean, who are you going to tell?
And that's a challenge that we have.
Yeah.
That's the challenge that we have. It's because women are afraid to come out because they're fearing fellow women will laugh at them, or the society, who reject them, or maybe they will look like it's not all good, it's not all rosy.
Okay, so let's move on to women. We've seen the everything that's
Women
happened.
programs,
the women program. Even you, you probably talk to more women than you do to men, isn't
Exactly.
it? So they are getting more enlightened. They're getting more smarter with their emotions, and when there's something is not right, they are leaving.
Yeah.
Most of the people that are filing for divorce are women. They're the ones who are saying, "I'm done. You can't do that to me. I'm out." Do you think it's a good thing that women have been disempowered, or there's something that needs to be taught for them to get to another level so that they don't opt for divorce? And as men, is there something that we are not being taught and keeping marriages?
I realize that men are becoming vulnerable, because so much emphasis has been placed on a woman. So look at, I'm raising a girl child, but I'm also raising a boy child. And if the concentration is just on the girl child, this girl child will become a mother, and that boy child will become a father. So what kind of a father am I looking at? Who is going to live with this girl child who is empowered? So in as much as I'm working with women, we recently just launched the Mothers and Sons program, where we are actually now bringing in the boy child. We are bringing in the men, because as I was dealing with the women, I realized that their husbands will also come to cry, to say my wife was doing this. So there's too much information for women and there's less information for men. So you find that we have this woman who is empowered, who has the knowledge, who has the cultural, that the culture has been instilled in her, tradition has been instilled in her, there's knowledge, there's all this. And then we have a man who is not fully ready, for the woman is about to get. So you find that there will be conflicts. And then I've also realized that they take a long time to train a woman when preparing for marriage.
Oh, man.
But
I
a
think
man, it will just be like
I
even
think mine
just
was like 30
2
minutes.
days.
Okay.
But look at a
Tim good.
woman, 1 month in
Yeah.
the home, you know, the
Yeah.
mana chimbusa, male mufunda omwana kashifi akusunga echupo ifya kuikala. But what about the man?
Yeah.
The man, they'll just tell him a few things, and mostly it's just sex.
Yeah.
Satisfy your woman. I'll say this, sorry, but that is reality. You know, so you find that when you get married, you as a woman, they even say, umwana kashala kula bwangu, because as a woman, you portray maturity compared to the man. So you find that you can't align. You know, you can't align. So those also are issues that we really have to look into, especially now.
So men need to relearn.
They need a school, actually. They need a school, actually.
Yeah.
If they can be just a school for men. Because I also realize, Steve, that men are broken as well. They are very emotional beings. You know, we like to say men are strong, but actually men are the most emotional beings I've ever met, because you can't express yourselves because of the ego of being masculine. So you find that a man, the pains are just inside. But a woman will meet a friend, they'll share, they'll talk, she'll meet an auntie, they'll talk. But what about a man? You keep it to yourself because you want to show that you are a strong person. Then when you are alone, that's when you break. I had my one of my mentors was teaching me to say, you know, when you have an abscess, you know, and you keep hiding it, you know, it's there. One day it will just blow off and pus will come out. And then the smell, people will know, oh, this person had an abscess. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what happens to the man. You know, you carry all these pains, you carry all these questions, you carry all these, you know, whys, hows, when. And then when the time comes for you to blow, that's how now you begin maybe to hit your wife, you begin now to do wrong things that make a marriage to end.
Let's talk about finances. Finances are a very big part of a marriage. And men were always the ones that had more money, more finances in a marriage. So they had some sort of control.
Yeah.
These days, it's usually 50-50. I mean, if the wife is not paying for the rent, the husband's buying the groceries. I mean, everyone, they put their money together like, okay, you know?
Yeah.
And which is now gives a lot of power to the woman and less power to the man. So what can we do to equate this, where even if she has more money than you do, you're still the man in the relationship to a point where you're respected enough to make decisions?
Okay, like, you know, when you talk about finances, first of all, I'll go back because I'm a Christian, and I so much believe in the Word of God and what it says about marriage.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible says that a man must be the provider of a home, you know, and so a man is the head. So he carries the headship in as much as they can be a 50-50, you know, but the
60-40.
like the man should just be the man.
Yeah.
You know, like, so mostly when I talk to women, and the issue of finances is the most critical. And all these divorce cases you see rising.
Yeah.
When you ask, it's either infidelity or money, these two. So when you talk about money, you know, in as much as we are women, independent and working, we want a man that is providing. We want a man that is there, you know, to show headship. So you find that why there's this case of divorce because of finances, it's because the woman is tired. She feels like the man is taking advantage of her. So I may be, for example, I may be working and earning 10,000 and you're earning a 5,000. You must up your game to make sure that in that 5,000,
Ngashakwata up your game, yo mjane.
eyo inenda pakupa na first of all.
Fire up your game.
Kai kwa baba umyabananganya futhi. Let's not run away from that.
Yeah.
Look, we have roles. We have different roles. As a man, you have a role to play in
You
your home.
you can't be a man while staying at home and taking care of the kids while she's going to work.
That's
Can
not
you
your
be,
role. That's not your role.
Can you be
because
the-
biblically, it's not your role.
Yeah.
There's a role for a woman according to God's creation. There's also a role for a man. So a man must be a provider. The woman must tend the home. So you find that when it's vice versa, it becomes a challenge because I'll be like, I'm the one providing for him. It's not my role. So being in that position keeps me frustrated. And this time there's a lot of influence out there. There's social media. You see how this person is buying cars for the wife. There's that pressure, and you are a woman running to buy everything, pay school fees.
So what's your advice? Should a man who doesn't have the means to take care of somebody get married?
No. No,
not.
Like, if you do not have the means, I would advise you hold on. First of all, why? Because as a man, you are meant to provide. As a man, you are meant to provide security. Because immediately you get married, of course, children will start coming in. So there will be that challenge, there will be that pressure. Of course, I'm not saying because you're not working, you can't marry. You can marry because, of course, there's a vision. Like, I would look at a man to say he has a vision in as much as...
But potential. Are you talking about potential?
Hey, it's okay. He's not working, but he has potential.
Yes.
He has this vision which he has shown me. And maybe I can come in and push him. But, there's a writer of a book who was quoting yesterday in a meeting that I attended. He said most of the marriages, they break up from a courtship level.
You've already divorced before you even get married.
Yes, before you even get married, you have divorced. Why? Because you see this man, there are red flags, like he's lazy. He's doing nothing. There are men who just love to sleep, Steve. They are there. They just want to sleep. They just want to eat. These days we call them Marios. And I've had an experience of men who are not working, who are just seated, they are lazy, they are trying to inbox me because they see I'm hardworking, I'm out there, and they'll say, let's just try our luck. Maybe she can be a
Maybe
provider.
She's lonely.
Yes, maybe she's lonely. But, you can't just be a man that is waiting for a woman to give you.
Yeah, but why? I mean, the whole the world is not taking care of a man. So we're not creating men.
That's right.
We have reached a point where women have become men in these households. And even when it comes to divorce, women as men say, I want to get divorced, I want to leave. And once that woman leaves, she leaves with everything that she brought into it with.
That's what I was saying. The men must be schooled. There's need for men to be schooled. At this time, we are in a crisis. Because we have women that are enlightened, independent, hardworking, and we have the men that are sleeping. So I would advise that we start to look at the men. In as much as we are creating women programs, awareness and stuff, let's do empowerment for men. When we build these men, they will become the greatest fathers we ever dream of. But because there's already a crisis, what we are seeing now, it's just the fruit of what has been. We have planted men that are not, ready for fatherhood, that are not ready to become husbands. We have planted them. And so what we are reaping, it's the seed that we have already planted. But we can save the generation to come. We have these young boys that are growing up. We have the teens that are growing up. We can instill in them the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding. Because again, I tell women, you don't just marry. Marry for purpose. Imagine, I am a woman that is doing what I am doing. And then I marry a man who tells me, you can't go to work. You can't do this. You have to sit down. How many years am I going to obey him? At maybe 3 years, 2 years, those are the most critical times in a marriage where you get, because you're coming from different backgrounds. This one is coming from this culture. Yeah. So there are those culture shocks. Culture shocks are also a very big, a force of divorce. Like, you are coming from a different culture background.
I was going to talk about that. Let's talk about, to wrap this up, tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition. The only times we see tradition is one, at childbirth. Everyone comes, tradition. Next time they're showing up is when you're about to get married, tradition. And the next time they show up again is when you die. And that's when tradition comes. How is tradition very important for marriage? Is it one of the reasons why we're getting divorced, because we've forgone some of our traditions?
I think tradition also depends. You know, like I was saying, cultural shocks, you know, backgrounds. You find that when you're getting married to someone, you must know, you know, or both of you must come to an understanding. What are we going to accept? What are we not going to allow? What are we going to build our marriage on? So there are extreme traditions. There are also spiritual foundations. There are also those who want to just have the normal, traditional, you know.
But everything has to have a base.
Yes. So
these days, I feel like no one has a base.
Yes. So like
our base is anything.
Anything. But because of the media, you know, social media trends, whatever is happening around, you find that, you know, there's an influence on how marriages were built in the beginning, like from our parents. Like for me, when I was getting married, there was an aspect of, I was getting married actually to a traditional man, a man that grew up in the village, so he was really a traditional man. My husband would want you to kneel before him. He would want you to do this, you know.
Yeah.
You know. So I look at that and say, if you have fontaine, you know, because of what I am seeing, you know, what is trending. So I would be like, if you have fontaine, if my husband is just trying to be too extreme. But I realized if I have to have my marriage in peace, it has to work, I must adapt to the tradition. So,
all right.
Yeah, so...
Lady Nomsa, our
can go
our
on
time
and
is
on,
up.
yes.
And I swear, we were probably
Yeah.
supposed to have like an hour of this. But
Yeah.
thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah.
And I hope men have learned a lesson today. Men need to actually figure out what's going on with them so that they can live in unity. And men should work.
And
Men
go
should be
to
the
school.
providers.
They should be schooled.
Yes, they should. I'll be taking care of that. Thanks for joining me on Luda today. Have a good day.